See, this is the kind of stupid shit that I'm talking about with these people that I don't like. Look at this. $4,168 for 4 weeks. That's basically my summary of the first set of pays, the first 4 paychecks that I got from off this dedicated account. I'm gonna go more into details, talk to you guys about the deductions, how many miles was that, what it's been like. This is an overall review, the first review on the Transam dedicated account. See, this is the kind of stupid shit that I don't like. This is where I fuel. It's my fuel solution. This is the whole load information, right? This is the shipper. Love's travel stop. Right now, where am I at? I'm at the Love's. Okay, and this is the final, the Walmart. Now, I got here since yesterday. I'm gonna show y'all in the load information. And it says, look at the load information. Loves, what does that say? Shipper, Loves travel stop. That's where I'm at right now. Right? And it's going to the final in a Walmart in Georgia. Okay. So I got here since, wait, let me show you something else as a matter of fact. Okay, the shipper is Love's Travel Stop, Moorhaven, Florida. 417, 8 o'clock, 0800. Right now it's 8:59. 8:59 as you can see. Today is the 17th, right? And I've been sitting here since yesterday. I took my 10 break, waiting 8 o'clock. It's an hour after 8 o'clock. They sent me a service failure saying I was late to the shipper, and whatever the case is. So, like I said, I've been parked here waiting still, because I thought this was a relay. They didn't send me a relay message, but Love's Travel Stop doesn't ship anything unless they're shipping fuel, you know. So I'm sitting here and I'm waiting. I got up, still nothing. Only now to hear this message came in. Where is it? Reported service failure. You know, why are you guys sending me a service failure? What did I do? So I called them up. They're telling me I took an extended break. And and I'm late to the shipper. I've been parked here at the so-called shipper, the Love's Travel Stop, since yesterday. I took my 10 break. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys how long I've been off. Because I told you I don't play around. Once they give me a load, I move. So see, I've been off for at least 12 hours, more than 12 hours. You know what I mean? Because it's out of 34 hours, I only got 18 hours left to go. Usually, if it takes just 10 hours, then I wouldn't have at least 18 hours left to go to get a full 34-hour reset. So that's how long I've been off. You know what I mean? So I've been parked here literally waiting for these people to, you know, send the relay or whoever. But I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna do a second part to this video. So I'm gonna wait until they get everything resolved and see what they're gonna come back and tell me, and then I'll finish the video. So it turns out this is where the mistake was. It's a watermelon shipper. As you can see, the Love's Travel Stop is right across the street. But they have in the garment that the Love's Travel Stop is the shipper. You know what I mean? So with that being said, basically they wanted me to come to this location. short real quick because the guy wanted me to do something on the dock for him. But anyhow, they had the Love's Travel Stop as the shipper by a mistake, because they called me up and I went over the service failure and everything, and basically what it was, the shipper is across the street. It's they're shipping watermelons, as you could see in the previous clip. They wanted, when I got to the Loves, they wanted to send the shipper my information, like my email and my phone number, and they were supposed to call me and tell me to come across the street. They could have just easily left a note inside the garment and say, hey, call shipper or do this, or they got it instead. If they had said watermelon, if they had to put the shipper's name as watermelon plant or something, I would have used my common sense and no. It just goes to show you how quick they're willing to give you a service failure. And like I said, you got to be on them. You know what I mean? Because it's a service failure is not something that's good. You know what I mean? So, like, the way I'm going to do this video, I'm just going to, I guess you can basically say this is going to be part 1 of the dedicated review. You know what I mean? So, if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe right now. Hit the like button. You know what I mean? Motivates me to give you guys more video, put more information out there. So, let's get into the video. Communication. Let's talk about communication. The communication with Transam overall, it's been a struggle. There's been times where I've been waiting at shippers overnight or receivers overnight for PO numbers, and you're trying to deal with night dispatch to get the, everything resolved, and then they tell you, oh, we're gonna leave a note so when morning dispatch comes in they can figure it out, and you're there waiting. Sometimes you have to be the one to call them. You know what I mean? Because if you don't call, most times when you call, they tell you. I've had instances where I'm waiting for something from overnight. I get up the next morning and I call. They're telling me, oh, this is all news to them. You know what I mean? So there's always been an issue with communication here. And that's something that I see on the dedicated account also, because they could have communicated that info to me, and instead of being quick to give me a service failure. The next thing that I don't like, what's been going on. So I was looking over my pay rate, and I was looking at my paycheck, so much money I got and all that stuff. Basically what it boils down to, from where I can see right now on the Transam dedicated account, Pepsi dedicated, that is based out of Florida, what I summarize from is like you're gonna get 2 good paychecks and then 2 shitty paychecks. You know what I mean? They tell you it's $1,000 a week, but it's really not $1,000 a week. You know what I mean? It's $4,000 gross for the month. So as long as you gross $4,000 for the month, they're not gonna pay you shit. You know what I mean? So 2 weeks I made 2 good checks. The other 2 weeks I made 2 shitty checks. So in my interpretation from what they told me, I was thinking those 2 weeks that I made those 2 shitty checks, they're gonna look back after a 4-week period and say, okay, on week 1 and week 2, you didn't gross $1,000. Let's say I got a paycheck for $600 1 week, and let's say I got another paycheck for like $700 for the other week. You would think for the $600 I'm missing $400, and for the $700 I'm missing $300. So you're gonna say 4 and 3, that's 7. You would think they owe you $700, right? Nah. Instead, when it got to the 4-week period, and I was expecting them to pay me, for those low paychecks, they told me, oh, on week 3 and 4, you made, you took home like $1,200, and you took home $1,100, and your gross was so high. Your gross was like $1,600 for one of those paychecks, and the other one was like $1,600 for the week on the other paycheck. So that 16 and 16, that made 3,000 something. And then the other 2 small paychecks that I got, the gross number before they took taxes, it was way over $4,000. You know what I mean? So they're like, we don't owe you anything. That didn't sit well with me. You know what I mean? That wasn't the impression of what they told me. They told me it was weekly, not gross monthly. You know what I mean? Even though if you're making $1,000 a week, it's still $4,000 monthly, but that's not the way they sell it to you. They sell it to you like, I don't want to say it was all too good to be true, but there's always a surprise. You can always expect a surprise with this company. I'm just being honest. You can always expect them to have some form of surprise up their sleeve, and they know what they're doing. They know how to get their money. The trick to it, like, you can run, and this is the other thing, like, if those of you guys who watch my videos, you guys know I was in Iowa once, and I asked to stay out, and like I got good miles, and then I ended up sitting for the next like 2 weeks. I ended up sitting a really long time. So it's like, if you got out here, you're supposed to run for 11 days. If you get out here and you run for 11 days, and then you go back home, yeah, it's fine. But if you ask to stay out, they'll let you stay out. But then you're going to end up in a dead zone, and then they're not going to give you any miles, and then you might as well have, you're better off to spending the time at home. You know what I mean? That's the trick why you can't make as much money on these dedicated accounts, because yes, you're getting a bigger cent CPM, cent per mile, but at the same time, it's like when the pay period cuts off and when it begins. Like, let me give you guys an example so you guys can more understand. Those of you guys who work at Transam or have been driving, or you guys would probably have a little more understanding than somebody that's new, but I'll try to break it down so you guys can understand. Pay period cuts off Friday midnight, Thursday midnight. So let's say I came off home time Friday morning. They gave me a load for 2,500 miles, and that load was supposed to be delivered the next week on Thursday. So basically by the next week on Thursday, I'm gonna run all those miles, and at the end of it, I'm gonna end up with 2,500 miles, right? That took me what, like 6-7 days to run. So that's 6-7 days out of the 11 days that I'm supposed to be out. Now, after I run that 2,500 miles, I'm gonna get paid for that the next week, not this coming week, the other week. All right, so I'm still out there. What they're gonna start doing, they're gonna route me back to Florida, right? So let's say they give me a load, and it delivers, let's say it's a 1,000-mile run from a 2,500 mile destination. They're gonna give me a load. You're gonna have to sit for 1 day so you can start recapping hours, because by the time you get to Thursday, you're gonna have to wait until Friday. So you're gonna have to sit a day. You're gonna run 1,000 miles to say, let's say, get back home. You run 1,000 miles. By the time you run the 1,000 miles, you're gonna get another good paycheck. You know what I mean? Because you run 2,500 one way, you're expecting to run 2,500 back the other way. So let's say you got, like 2,300 by the time you got back home. All right. After you do that, you have 2 good paychecks lined up. You go on home time. Let's say you went on home time with good miles, so you come back out. When you come back out, you're running again. They give you another 1,000-mile run. By the time you run, you end up sitting. By the time you sit, you run, you end up making like 1,500 miles. So you get a shitty paycheck. So you get 2 good paychecks and then 2 shitty paychecks. You know what I mean? Because by the time you go back home and the pay period cuts off, it doesn't, you just don't make as much miles to take you home. You know what I mean? Right now, I'm going home. My previous pay miles was 2,900 something, and I'm going home on this load. After the pay period cut off, I ran like 600 miles, and then this load that I'm on is another like 500 something miles. So basically, I'm going to be going home. I'm going to be getting home by Tuesday morning, and then I'm going to be home from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I believe I get back out there on Friday, or I believe it starts like on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be by the time I get back out there, the pay period is gonna be already gone. So that means I'm gonna go home with 1,100 miles. You know what I mean? So you're only gonna get paid for that 1,100 miles, whatever the pay rate is. All right. Sorry, let me take this out of my mouth. With that being said, the next trick to it was, this is the part that really pissed me off. They said it's 40 cents per mile. I remember I was looking over my pay stubs, and every time I noticed, it said 34 cents per mile. So I called them up now, and after the 4 weeks when I expected them to pay me and all that stuff, I called them up and I was like, we discussed the pay and all that, and then I asked them, why does it say 34 cents if you guys say it starts at 40 cents per mile, 3 cents every week for on-time delivery? After 3 months, you get another 3 cents raise, so that puts you at 43. And after another 3 months, you get up to 46. They said to me, the lady said to me, well, it's 34 cents right now, and it's another 12 cents bonus. So right now you're already capped off. You've maximized the pay scale. So I'm thinking like, how could I maximize the pay scale if they told me I'm supposed to get a raise after the first month, after the first 3 months? You know what I mean? And I've only been on the account for maybe like 6-7 weeks. You know what I mean? So how could I cap out the pay scale already? She was telling me that this must be a mistake. She's gonna look into it. She's gonna look into it, and then they're gonna call me and go over everything. They never called me back, sure enough. I told them, if you guys call me, then you gonna get me, leave me a voicemail. They never called. They never left a voicemail. When I got my next pay rate, my next paycheck, I looked on it. Instead of 34, now it's at 28 cents per mile. You know what I mean? So I was already not making the money that I expected that I was making, and now it's even less than what I expected. You know what I mean? So, bro, I'm gonna tell y'all like it is. Like in anything in general, it's extremely hard to stay motivated when you just come in a trucking game. You know what I mean? There's been a couple of opportunities out there that I've been looking into. Not going jump the gun. So right now I'm still sticking it off at Transam. See how if I can make it to get the year first. You know what I mean? And then possibly move on. I'm at 8 going on 9 months now, so it's not too far from a year if God's spare life and everything is good. Hopefully I get to move on to one of those opportunities, but I will tell you, it's not easy to stay motivated. You know what I mean? You have to stay focused. You know what I mean? Especially when you work for a company like Transam, you can always expect them to have a surprise up their sleeve or a trick up their sleeve. You know what I mean? The next thing I'm gonna share with you guys before, because I'm gonna do this like part 2 to this video real quick. The communication again, it goes back to communication. On my home time before this one, I delivered at a Walmart. The load got delivered, the appointment time was 8 o'clock, right? At night. So I got there by 11 o'clock or so. I was done unloading, right? And I was 4 hours away from my home, right? So after I got done unloading, like, I knew that was my home load, but I don't want to make any moves just in case they're gonna send me back somewhere. Prime example, I was just in Florida the other day, like 2 days ago, and I knew that was supposed to be my home load. And when I got to Florida, I was 2 hours away from my crib, and they sent me back 600 miles back into Georgia. So in that scenario, I knew that was my home load, but I didn't want to get up and start driving the 4 hours, and then they had a load for me, or like a relay or something, because I felt really odd that they were gonna let me drive 4 hours, just to deadhead home. But it is what it is. They had to get me home regardless. So I got done unloading like 11 o'clock. I send my empty call in. I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for them to respond and say, hey, go home. Nobody's responding, so I send them a message. I call them. When I call them up, they told me there's no note left inside. So basically the planner didn't leave a note if I should go home. If they don't have a pre-plan for me, that means they don't have a next load, they don't have a relay set up for me, and they don't have a note that says send me home. So basically I had to sit. I was so pissed, because when it gets to my home time, I get really, really nancy, because I want to go home, obviously. They didn't have a pre-plan or anything, so I had to sit. They told me, okay, go ahead and log your 10-hour break, and then in the morning when the planner comes in, they're gonna tell you. So I had to sit another 10 hours just to wait to 7-8 o'clock to come, and then for them to call me the next morning and tell me, okay, it's fine for you to go home, when I could have drove 4 hours from the night before and got home and started spending my home time. You know what I mean? So like the communication part, it's a big part of it, man. I got more information. I don't want to make this video too long if you guys are